All right, hello, welcome to Bonsai Trading. This is the weekly outlook. It is April 7th, 2024, and we're going to discuss what's Bitcoin going to do this week. Hopefully, we'll be able to nail it down. Things have been quite choppy and sideways. We have the Bitcoin halving happening in about 13 days. It is projected to be on April 20th, 420. There's going to be a lot of people rejoicing about that arbitrary number. But nonetheless, we have this event coming up, and what can we expect Bitcoin to do before, during, and after the Bitcoin halving? We're going to go through and kind of analyze all of those things, but first, if you hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe to my channel for future videos. The links to my Discord and other services I provide will be in the description, so please check those out as well. All right, so looking at Bitcoin, we have gotten above the previous all-time high back here. And we've been sitting here going sideways, kind of oscillating around it every week. We're either above or below, above, below. This 1.618 that you see right here, this is the previous cycle's 1.618, and it was the resistance that we had back here. You can see now it's starting to turn into support as we have breached it. So this 1.618, which currently sits around 62K, is going to be the support that you want to watch to see that holds, okay? Also notice that we are steadily staying above the weekly 8 EMA. All right, we haven't actually touched it. It's gotten very close, but I do imagine that if this starts making a bigger move to the upside, that will curl up and start touching those wicks that you see here. Comparing this cycle to the last cycle, I just want to point out something. We're doing the same thing that we did at the previous all-time high that we did this cycle. So if you notice, here's our previous all-time high, right here. And you can see we had several weeks where we would wick up above, and use it as resistance until finally we just blew right through it, right? So I do anticipate seeing something like this happening at some point in the near future. The question is, do we need a pullback first? Because all these other cycles had major pullbacks upwards of 40 to 50 to 60% before actually going into the bull market. And this cycle, due to the ETFs and all of the bullishness going along with it, we never had any sort of pullback. This is just straight up from the lows, and there has been no dips to really buy or to be excited about. So maybe we get one of those big wicks down to the 21 EMA down here. Maybe we get a wick down to the 58K mark. Either way, I don't see us falling back below 50K at all. I think we're going to stay above this greed FOMO zone for the most part. I don't think we'll close a candle down in here for a very long time. Looking at the cycle before that, which better represents the cycle that we're in, because it was down and then it was up, which is kind of like the cycle that we're in. It's just a V-shaped recovery, whereas the last cycle was very choppy up and down. And so you can see that that's the cycle that we have now. It's very V-shaped. So if we go back and compare it to this cycle and look at what happened around the all-time high, you can see that we had a big pullback here, right? But we never really got over it. So in our current situation, we are right now over it. So I don't know if we're going to get a pullback or not. What I do know is that the halving's coming up. Everyone's super bullish, and they typically don't make it that easy. They're going to do something more than likely to make this scary in some fashion, and that's when I want to buy. And I'm hoping that happens, right? Because I want to buy more. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to continue to hold what I have. My average is way the hell down here, so I'm pretty happy with that. We have a lot of altcoins that we've been averaging into that are, we're net positive on, taking profits on already too, to just lower our risk. But this market is super bullish. You don't really want to try to short this. You might get away with some scalping, and that's fine. But by no means should you be swing trading shorts. It's just a recipe for disaster. Your better option is to wait for dips too long in this type of environment. The only thing that I think is concerning is looking at stablecoin dominance. Now, this is its all-time trend, and if you're not aware, when stablecoin dominance goes down, then Bitcoin and crypto go up, and vice versa. They're inverse of each other. That's because when people sell stables, they're usually selling it into crypto. And when people buy stables, they're usually converting from crypto into stables. Now, I do understand that maybe this chart might not be relevant, and that we're likely going to break this trend. And that's because most of Bitcoin right now might not be being bought by stablecoins. It can be bought directly with cash now through Coinbase and other exchanges where you can just convert your cash from your bank right into Bitcoin. And so stablecoin dominance coming down just might be that showing us that. It might just be showing us that it's no longer as needed as it used to be to purchase crypto. So I have to kind of take this with a grain of salt. With that, there is this nice little trend line here to help us see if we do get a breakout, then maybe we can expect Bitcoin and crypto to have a little bit of a flash crash or a flush. And I would expect to see another wick back up to the 21 EMA similar to that one. And if that's the case, then that's where I want to buy. I want to buy more crypto as soon as I see some sort of touch on that 21 EMA potentially if we get like a huge move up there. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. When we compare Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, there are several instances that can help us see what we might be able to expect. So not long ago, I say not long ago because it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but back here in October of 23, I showed you all that we broke this trend, right? And as soon as this trend breaks, that signals that the bull market is like ready to roar, right? And that's exactly what we've had happen since then. And we're currently in what I think is this situation here, where we're hovering around the previous all-time highs. So you can see that mark there, and then you can see this mark here, right? And so that's kind of what we're being held up by. But as soon as we clear that, then we can expect to see another big move up, right? And I think that's going to be the move up. That might take several months of happening. But I do think that we'll eventually get up to these bull market targets, 100K being the first one, and as high as 173,000 is I think where Bitcoin could potentially go. Now, with that said, I still want to be careful because altcoins are what we're more interested in now that we think that Bitcoin's about to break the previous all-time high. Whenever we come up close to the halving and breaking previous all-time highs is typically when we see alt seasons start to happen, right? And so everyone's anticipating this alt season. But it's not going to be as easy as just buying, and you can see that clearly with this total 3 minus stablecoins against Bitcoin, right? And so basically what we're doing is we're comparing the entire altcoin market against Bitcoin itself. And we've just been going sideways for a very long time. This is a very nice accumulation. We've been buying at this 0.5 and kind of taking profits when we get up close to the 382. The weekly EMAs keep oscillating back and forth from bullish to bearish to bullish to looking like going bearish again. So this is just when you want to be accumulating those altcoins that you really like, and that's what we've been doing. Eventually, I anticipate getting above that 382 in alt season beginning. If we look at Bitcoin dominance, it's just been kind of chilling around this 0.5. So it's not really showing us that it's like super dominant anymore like it was back here. But it is still above the 0.5, and I do still think we might get up to these golden pocket levels where you can see this trend line, all-time trend line comes through right up here into this zone. The question is if Bitcoin dominance starts going up rapidly, does that mean the market's coming down or going up, right? So is everybody going to start selling their alts for Bitcoin and that's why the dominance is going up, or is everybody going to start like just buying Bitcoin and alts kind of hover around nothing? Well, we don't know. But if we get above 54.74, we might see a pretty good surge in Bitcoin or markets falling along with Bitcoin and people are starting to panic and moving their money into a safer place. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. Another thing that's concerning is the dollar. So the dollar is breaking trend. This is now 3 candles, going on 3 candles. This one just opened, of being above this downtrend. Typically, when we're just going sideways like this, the markets can do really well, and that's what's been happening. We've had this serious uptrend here on the S&P and on the NASDAQ, and that's because the dollar was very stable and going sideways. But if this trend break signals a big move up for DXY, then all markets could potentially suffer, at least for a short period of time, at the very least. And so I'm definitely monitoring this. This is fully bullish now on the weekly. We're above the 382, broke trend, EMAs are bullish, MACD and RSI are both above center, so momentum is likely going to carry this dollar higher. Unless we see a move back down this week and close below, I'm assuming this is going up, which means I'm assuming this is coming down, at least for the short term. So right now, ES has held that 1.272, but if we fall below 52.41, that increases our risk of further downside. Looking at the NASDAQ, same thing. We have divergence here. This is clearly trending down while this is clearly trending up. and so that's considered bearish divergence. The MACD is about to cross. Actually, it just did on this opening candle. So this week's weekly candle will determine if that actually crosses or not. Obviously, if we get a big move to the upside, then that MACD is going to crawl back up, and it won't, but we'll see. This is a big week all around with DXY breaking trend, with the NASDAQ and ES showing a little bit of weakness, and Bitcoin still just hovering right around all-time highs, and the altcoin market starting to look like it's coming back down again, right? So there's a lot of things happening, and I'm not going to say I'm going to call it. Like, I am bullish on everything, really, but short term, really hard to call, right? I would say short term, if I had to pick a direction this week, I would say down. On all of it, I would say we get a little bit of a pullback on everything. But Bitcoin might be the only one I'm wrong on with that. I do think that equities are going to have a little bit of a downside. All right, so with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. Oh, let's look at Ethereum. Sorry. So Ethereum is in a bullish pennant, right? And a lot of people on Twitter have been knocking Ethereum, and I've noticed this in several instances. Whenever this starts to creep up again on Twitter, it's funny. We usually get a huge move on Ethereum, right? So that I just kind of use that as a buy signal. This is still very bullish. We're in the greed and FOMO zone. There is nothing bearish whatsoever about this. The only reason people are complaining is because it's not keeping up with Bitcoin. But I do think that it will have its day eventually. Whenever it gets right around this 0.5 here, we usually get a big move back up. We did break this all-time trend, right? And I didn't want to see that happen. But with ETF news and with all of the bullishness surrounding Bitcoin and institutional buying, it makes sense that it's outperforming Ethereum still. We haven't really seen phase 2 of this market yet, where phase 1 is Bitcoin dominance, right? We've seen that for a long time. Phase 2 is Ethereum starts to take over. Phase 3 is all of your larger cap altcoins. And then phase 4 ends up being all of the lower market cap stuff going crazy. So we've yet to see phase 2. And so I still think we have quite a bit of time in this bull market. I don't see or anticipate a top of the bull market until somewhere around the beginning of 2025, which gives us another 9 months or 8 months of bullish crypto. So don't let the dips scare you. Try to conserve your capital for the good opportunities that might come soon. And I still like Ethereum, so don't let Twitter scare you. I think we're going to break out of this eventually and head up. Let's see, Bitcoin, we did that. Total 3, we did that. Total market cap, I mean, this is the entire crypto market cap, and this is a really nice bullish pennant. So there's still nothing here that tells me that we're going down. And as soon as we break this formation here, I anticipate this going way higher, up to the 3 trillion mark. This is the greed and FOMO zone. We do not panic in greed FOMO zones. We buy more. And so that's what I've been doing as well. So we start down here. We can maybe go like that. And there you go. The incline on the bottom is higher than the incline on the top, which just means it's more bullish. Obviously, if this breaks down, then yeah, we got to consider a bigger dip. But I really don't think that's happening. These EMAs have not even crossed bearish yet. They keep looking like they're going to, and then we recover. So overall, definitely bullish. Short term, might see some dips. All right, so with that, I am going to go ahead and ask for chart requests if anybody wants to throw them in the chat. And by the way, if you're in the Discord, you get to be here live. And ask me to chart whatever you want during these calls once a week. Every Sunday is when we do it. So you're going to get to see that now. All right, ETH Bitcoin on the weekly. Did I not do that? I did. Yeah. Okay, I did it. So yeah, right now we're kind of just hovering around that 0.05 mark. I do think that it'll recover. Obviously, if it doesn't, then it's a long way down. But this is definitely bullishly divergent. You have this uptrend here, while this is clearly pointing down, right? So that's bullish divergence. I'm not real worried about the ETH Bitcoin chart at the moment. Okay, T, threshold. Oh, I don't want to use this chart. I want to use this chart. All right. So the first thing I would do is draw a fib retracement from the bottom to the top. And we got up into that greed FOMO zone and have since fallen. Here's your golden pocket sell-off return. Yeah, I mean, it has all the ingredients. It's just a low volume market or a low volume altcoin, so it's going to be real erratic like that, but I wouldn't be too concerned as long as we held to this 0.71. So let that be your stop. You can see it was previous resistance, now support. So I would try to buy as close to that 0.71 as possible. Keep your stop loss somewhere around the body of these candles like that, and try to take it higher. I don't see any divergence. These are all pointing higher, so I don't see anything of real concern there. Matic is so upsetting. All right, so we broke that trend and have now fallen back below. So it's not ideal. I am still holding what I bought up here because I do think Matic will eventually get up into the golden pocket again. But for now, I'm not buying anymore. I'm just waiting. I do think that it will do okay. Layer 2s are just kind of a crapshoot. And until Ethereum really starts taking over, I think layer 2s are going to continue to lag as well. But I do think that when Ethereum finally does start moving, that these will too. But this is definitely, pointing down, back under trend, not what I like to see. It's under pivot on the weekly. It's under the EMAs, even though the EMAs are still technically bullish. So we could get a bounce off the 50 here to recover, and I'd like to see that happen this week if possible. If not, then we might be headed back down to the lows. And that's where I'd consider buying more, is like if we hit this line again, like 74 cents. Link. All right, I still like Link. I think it's still going to be okay. We just kind of peeked into the golden pocket, sold off. Still holding the 0.5 as support here. And unless this breaks, I'm not too concerned. If the 0.5 breaks and we close below, then yeah, I might finally just take profits. My average is down here because I accumulated quite a bit during this consolidation. So I don't have any qualms about just holding on to it and waiting and seeing how high we can get this when things start moving again. All altcoins are basically like not doing great compared to Bitcoin. Now there are a few, Pendle is doing amazing, and there are a few outliers, and those are the ones that are likely going to be top 50 into the next bull run. So I would keep a hold of those. AKT. So from what I heard, they're merging with like 3 others to form one token, which is just crazy. I don't even know what to think about that, to be honest. But yeah, so support's going to be, this trend line. We're in the greed FOMO zone, and I still think that eventually it'll get up there. I don't really know what's going to happen when it converts into one token. I haven't really read up on that. So if anybody wants to drop exactly the logistics in the Crypto Alpha channel on what happens to all these tokens, I'd really appreciate it, just so I can learn a little more. But I think taking profits here made a little bit of sense, and so I did a little bit. Not much, because I do like it to continue higher. But the support now is going to be right where this 21 EMA is, and that 0.786, and we likely get a reaction out of that. If it doesn't, then we'll hit trend line. But as long as it holds this trend, I'm happy holding. And if we do see the trend again, I might go ahead and buy a little bit more, depending on whatever the outcome of this token merge situation is. Prime. I have that somewhere. There it is. This thing is nuts. So we've now gotten over the 1.618, which is what you want to see. And as soon as you do, you grab your retest, you keep your stop loss just underneath the 8 EMA here, and now we try to take it up into the higher levels. With the 2.272 being like the main top where you should definitely take profits. Typically things don't go any higher than that, at least not immediately. We can use Tau as an example, and I can show you that as well. So you can see that 2.272 has been the top so far. So things typically do not just blast through 2.272s. You can typically sell at 2.272s and rebuy at the 2, which you can clearly see would have been a great idea here. All right, MNT. Apparently I charted this a long time ago. So here's the issue I have with tokens like this is I don't know where this traded prior to here. And I don't know if there's an older chart maybe. No. So like Tau doesn't show all of its chart history, and I know this because I bought Tau at $20 before it was even listed on an exchange and before you could even chart it on TradingView. So all I can do is draw this downtrend and say, okay, we just got through the 1.618 and now it should become support. So 141 should become your support, the 8 EMA being the extreme, and then we can try to take this up to these levels above. That's really all you can do with something this new. You can also, if you wanted to, you can also come in and chart these little other pullbacks to get local levels. So look, see, if you do that one, we're currently hitting the 1.618, so now that's going to be resistance. So that's where I would say, okay, that needs to be your profit taking spot right now. And then if you close a candle over, even on like a daily would be good. Like even if a daily candle closed over that mark, then I would try to jump back in and keep your stops just underneath. But for now, that's telling me that you should take a little bit of profits off the table and wait and see if you can get over, hop back in, take it to the 2.272. And that's how I approach things anyway. All right. Where are we? Is that COQ? COQ. That's a new one for me. So this is a very bullish formation. It's a very nice flag or pennant, whatever you want to call it. It also could be a descending triangle. Actually, you might need to be careful. But, because it looks like it's broken that. Yeah. So I guess you could call it there. Yeah, I put it there. And if that breaks, then get out. But really what you want to do is try to buy the bottom of it and then take it out on a bullish break. Let's see. So if we do that and that. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly holding this as support, the previous all-time high. So that's where you want to be buying and then keeping your stops just underneath to be safe. And you'd want to keep your stop underneath that candle, underneath that low. So, I mean, from here, it's still probably a lot. Yeah, so I mean, 13% risk on spot to buy here or see if you can get another touch of that previous all-time high and keep your stop down here underneath that wick. And then try to take it to these upper levels here. Okay, ARB. Where do you find these, Abby? Where do you find COQ? I've never heard of this. Okay, so I'm going to chart this fresh. So here, after you get a top and a pullback, you want to measure the uptrend. And see, we just closed underneath the 382. That's not ideal. 382 is typically what shows you that it's a strong trend. And as soon as that breaks, then that means the trend broke, right? And so you can see that by drawing this trend and seeing that the 382 broke and so did the trend, right? So what's needed now is a reconsolidation, and that reconsolidation could happen just underneath it and never actually get to the 0.5. I've seen that happen, and then start heading back up. Or it can come down to the 0.5 and reaccumulate there. If the 0.5 breaks, then you know where it's going, the golden pocket. So this is not something I would be buying right at this moment until I see it get back up over the EMAs at the very least. And then it's really bullish if it breaks back up over trend, but that could be like, you know, way over here, and then the trend breaks, and now you're at all-time highs, breaking trend. But still, it's more confident to buy that situation than to buy this situation. Pith. Okay, I pointed at that at some point. All right, so we got into the profit-taking zone, and if you've been watching, you've noticed that whenever we break above the previous all-time high, that's usually when we want to try to take it to these levels above. It didn't quite make it to the 1.618. Doesn't mean it still can't. It's holding the weekly 8 EMA, which is a good sign. Right in between two pivots, so that's not helpful. Let's go to the daily. So what's concerning is there's like a whole lot of space here, right? And you can see that it has these massive wicks. So, I mean, we could totally get something like that all the way back down to the previous all-time high and then bounce. Totally possible with these altcoins. They are very erratic. So if I take this low to this high, so there's your 382. That's what you want to see hold, right? And you can see it can close candles below and then close candles back above. So if you see that, then it might be worth trying to get back in. With crypto, because there's such lower volume compared to things like Forex and the S&P 500, they overshoot the marks because there's less human behavior involved. So you have to kind of say, okay, that's currently still holding the 382, even though it did close the candle below. So you want to see that hold. If that fails, then we're likely going to head back down to the 0.5, and then hopefully that holds. But you'll want to see a reconsolidation and support down there before you decide to buy. If it does hold the 382 and start heading higher, wait for a move over the EMAs again, and then jump back in. You're going to want to see it break this trend here at the very least, and hold that. No, see, it's not great. It's not great. I'd pick something else to trade, personally. Track. So Track, we rebought right down here, and we're currently up a little bit to begin the week. And I like buying the bottom of a golden pocket after it falls because that's the pattern Bitcoin played, where it did not break the golden pocket here. So I kind of use that as a map on what to do with the rest of crypto for this cycle. So if something's coming into the golden pocket and you can see it's coming to the bottom of the golden pocket, that's kind of where I've been trying to nab some things, just because that's what Bitcoin did, right? So that's what Track is doing, coming down to that golden pocket. And so my stop loss is kind of like just underneath that wick currently. So I think I got it at like 102. So it wouldn't be too big of a loss, like 5% if my stop hits. And I'm going to try to take this up to the 786, which would be a pretty nice move from entry. Yeah, like 70%. I'll take that. And I'll take some profits off the table there, and let the rest run. Originally, we bought Track like way down here, this purple line. That's where we originally bought it, so we're all doing really well on Track. Boson, man, it tanked. It's bouncing again. That's good. So I want to see it get back up over this 0.5. It's kind of doing what freaking Link did, where it like cleared it, got us all excited, and then fell back below, and now Link's just been like meandering around underneath the 0.5 or above the 0.5 for a really long time. But the EMAs are still bullish on the daily. On the weekly, looked like we needed just a little bit of relief, but this could still come back down, to that 8 EMA, and ultimately that's where I want to see it hold. It's still quite a ways away, especially for an altcoin, but I'm going to keep holding because I like it on the RWA plays. So I would venture to say it might be a good idea to maybe dabble a little more if we get that 8 EMA touch on the weekly, and I might do that myself, but I'm just going to wait and see what happens for now. MPL. Maple. So I like when I see candles like this. When you see a candle that just blasts through both EMAs and closes back over, that's a super bullish move. And then you can just hop in and just keep your stop just below, because right now it just told us like, I don't belong down here, right? And so just put your stop down there, because if that's not where it belongs, you're probably pretty safe. So I like that candle, and I like when I see that. How big is this thing? Ooh, it still hasn't even gotten up there. I kind of like this a lot. All right, so that could be considered the first golden pocket sell-off. Support forming back below, return to the golden pocket. So we want to see it hold 1972 at the very least. It actually looks like it'd be an amazing entry if this could come back down and tap right there. So I'm actually going to set an alert for that, because if it does, I will buy some. So if my alert goes off, you're going to see me calling that out. If you're already in this, just hold. This is looking really great. And yeah, first target's going to be the 786 at 34.21. Okay, let's see. We got route. Route is bearish on the weekly, not great. This is sideways. This is probably not something I would consider even investing in, considering how long this has been going sideways and how well the market's doing and how not well this is doing. This doesn't look great to me, and I would definitely find something better to put this money into. Support's at 260 or 280. So that's probably where it's going to go touch at some point. EMAs are bearish, which, when everything in crypto is bullish and your token is bearish, it's probably time to find something else. Kaspa. Where are you? I know you're in here. All right, so I was charting this the other day, and I noticed it had this nice channel, and it fell out of the channel, and it's been going sideways since it fell out of the channel. So when it first came out of the channel, I was like, ooh, this might fall hard, but then it kind of just held its own, and because it hasn't really given us that move down after breaking the channel, I'm not really considering it too much of a indication. You can go out of the channel and be back in the channel again, so that might be what happens. It's really all you can do with this chart, because there's not really any pullbacks to measure. Like I can measure that and say, okay, we didn't quite make it to the 2.272, but right now the 1.618 is support. So if you get a wick back down to just under 10 cents, I would definitely try to grab some of that with a tight stop loss underneath. And if we break back up over this 2 mark, which is at 15 and a half cents, close the candle back over that, then we can probably start taking this up to 22 cents at the 2.272. But I do anticipate this being a big resistance. The other thing I'm noticing is divergence, which is not great. So this is heading up, and this is clearly heading down. But the MACD is kind of flat, right? This is straight. Still considered divergent. So it's just weakening a little bit, and it's had a hell of a run. So people might be, more interested in the lower market cap stuff now that Cost has made a name for itself, and it might be a while before this makes another move to the upside, but it's definitely still a hold while the weekly EMAs are bullish. Naka, N-A-K-A. Okay. Bearishly divergent. No real sell-off from the golden pocket. Didn't even get back down to the bottom of it. I would like to see a close back above 243 to be confident in further upside. And until then, I probably wouldn't touch it as a new investor. If you're currently in it, I would suggest taking a little bit of profits because of how divergent that is. And this is clearly higher. So that's a bit concerning. At least get some of your money out and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But it is bullish in the fact that the EMAs are still bullish on the weekly, and the daily is bearish. So it could turn around from here, though. You could try to just say, okay, if we close the candle below 167, then maybe take profits. And other than that, kind of hold. But, I mean, that's still quite a bit of percentage being lost. If that does happen, that's another 10% down. That's a tough one. I mean, if you were lucky enough to get in down here somewhere, then by all means take some money off the table, and I think that's what people are doing. And until we can get over that 786, then it's likely going to head lower. Get over the 786 again, then yeah, I might fly. I hope that helps. COQ is a meme coin on Avalanche. Amazing. No wonder I've never heard of it. Tesla. Let's look at Tesla. All right, so I'm still waiting on this gap fill. It feels like I've been waiting on this gap fill for over a year, but there is a clear. All right, so notice before I erase this, we're in the golden pocket down here. If we draw this trend from the low to the high. So now I'm going to erase this and show you where this gap is that I didn't get last time I wanted it, and I think I might get it this time. So I think that we're going to come fill this gap at 146, 147. And that's where I'm going to add more to my Tesla bag. I bought it at 102 a long time ago, and I've held it all the way through here. I did not take any profits up here because I really thought it might break the trend, and it never did 4 times. So I think I'll just add more to it if we see that gap. And that's really all I'm waiting on. Short term, I'm not trying to trade Tesla. It's kind of like I don't know, it's not fun anymore doing other things. RVST with new support levels. RVST. Where are you? Here you are. Okay, so here's what's going on with RVST. We got the main downtrend that we're measuring. We're like, okay, cool. Get through the greed FOMO zone. We can head higher. And then it hits this top again and starts falling. And I was like, what is being held up here? And like that was my question to myself. And so I erased this and I drew this downtrend. And then I figured out why. And so that is when I, called out to the Discord that I'm taking profits. It was like 38 cents or 40 cents when I took some profits off the table. And now my cost basis is extremely low because we bought this, I don't know how long ago, but we also nabbed this entry down here. But right now we want to see it hold this 30-cent mark right here. And if it does, great. If it falls lower, then we can maybe anticipate a retest of the trend line. And that's where I may buy more. But right now our average is super low, so I'm just going to kind of hold. I do think that it will get through that 2.272 eventually, but I like to show this because this is how prominent a 2.272 can be and why you should take profits when you see them hitting it, because 2.272s are nothing to joke around with, as evident by this double top almost showing here. So with that said, I am not buying any more. I sold, and I'm going to wait a while, but I do still think it'll get up to those levels in this box at some point as soon as we get a real alt season. To see those levels, we'll do this again. And that's where I think we'll eventually go, right? So it's worth being patient on something like this, even though we're seeing like 20 to 30% falls from the highs, and it's really erratic. It's worth the patience, I think, on this to wait for it to get up into these extremely high levels from where we are now. All right, speaking of bearish when everything else is bullish, EWT. Yeah, these are old coins, and Microsoft backed or not, doesn't seem to matter. They're not doing anything new, and nobody's really interested. It broke the downtrend a long time ago and has gone sideways since, so that just shows you the momentum is just not there with something like this. I thought it might do well like a year ago, and it's just not. So until it can at least clear 350, it's kind of just a dead looking coin to me. Definitely do some research on Maple. Yeah, definitely share that with me. Whatever you got on it, drop it in the Crypto Alpha channel. I'd love to read about it. That chart is probably my favorite one that we've gone through tonight. So, by the way, Bitcoin Magazine, U.S. government set to liquidate $2 billion in Bitcoin seized from Silk Road. Yeah, we were just talking about that before the call started. We don't know, like, do they just OTC this stuff to people? Who's buying $2 billion OTC? I don't know. But I guess when that finally starts coming in, we might get a pullback. I don't know. I kind of tend to go for the charts more than the news. I do recognize that narratives are a good thing to keep an eye on, and news around specific crypto projects when they launch their main nets and all these other things are good things to understand, and token unlocks are good things to understand. I don't discount fundamentals altogether, but I do think that the charts tell the story before anything else most of the time. So but we do have a Crypto Alpha channel where these guys are posting all sorts of really awesome stuff in there. and it's I find most of the stuff that I buy. So we do this as a team, and I'm really proud of how this group has evolved over the last couple of years. All right, guys, thank you so much. Again, if you like this video, I know it's long, but I included all the chart requests this time. Please hit that subscribe button and like my videos. It really helps. I appreciate it. And I'll see you again during the week and next week as well. Have a good night. Bye.